one thing that we're really interested in is that relationship with an agency or any company actually integrating AI into their process and not doing it secretively, actually doing it so it's like expected. Um, that whether or not, but we're actually going to do attribution. So you can see here we have these different. Each of the milestones have attribution to as far as who created them. This is going to unlock a few things. One, you can actually merge your process with other agencies or freelancers, and they can have autonomy over the phases and milestones that they are in charge of. So they can make updates to those. So you'd see maybe this mobile app design process is a merger between like an engineering team and a strategy team and jumpsuit. You'd actually see those logos as far as who's responsible for each of those, and that way you can view those. But in the same sense, we'll be able to attribute the milestones that have been generated purely on AI and hasn't been altered by you. So it lets us kind of keep track of like, okay, where are humans actually coming in and altering a process? Where are we just letting AI kind of fill in the primary gaps? And that's going to open up, I think, a really cool conversation just about ethical AI usage, right? And making sure we're always attributing properly.
I'm so excited for that. I think that's going to be really, really important, especially for the larger organizations, as I mentioned before, who like have to align on ethics and governance and have the ability to like prove that with data. Um, yeah. Any thoughts on like the analytics dashboard and like what might be possible there, to like help companies prove things with how they're using AI? Have you thought about that much?
Oh, for sure. I mean, just insights. It's interesting because analytics are always meant to drive insights, and a lot of people, when they go to build an analytic dashboard, they call it an insight dashboard because they know that's what they want the end result to be. But there's sort of always been a gap until AI hit the market of like, how do you ingest? How do you like? How do you you know? How do you look at all this data and actually begin to build like insights that actually drive decision making, right? And it just takes a human to see it. But sometimes, I mean, when you think of a smaller dashboard, if you're just looking at like Google Analytics for like website traffic, that's easier because there's already been a lot of stories told, so you can find those insights hidden in the data. But when it comes to like larger data, and I really think Jauntboards is such going to be such a good example of that. There's going to be so much activity and people creating and working through across like a full industry, and AI will be the only thing that could fathom all of that data and actually drive really good detailed insights from that data. So you'll be able to service up to the different CEOs of agencies or companies and tell them, hey, this is where not only just standard market behavior is going, but this is behavior within your own app and your own team, and you need to really like hone in your process here or tighten this up here, or you need to add something here. So I am very excited about the relationship with it and our analytics.
I'm really excited for the new levels of flexibility it provides, and how you get work done, right? Because I think on a bigger project, just kind of assuming there's, an organization that hires Jumpsuit as an agency, for example, we may be, like I said, collaborating already. Maybe we're doing 80% of the work and their team's doing 20% of the work, and they're ultimately responsible for the budget and getting it done. But now, instead of just providing services, we can actually package up our best in class processes, and we can even be spearheading, AI. So we can say, hey, when you want to go make a commercial now, here's our process on how we get it done. But here's another version where you really lean heavily on AI, and we can now sell that as a product. We can also allow a company to say, hey, you know what? Thanks for that process. We're going to try to do that internally and um, follow this process, follow all the examples that you've given us. But at any point in time, they get stuck. Maybe they don't have the talent to pull off a certain milestone, or they don't have the time anymore. Someone, they had the talent, but they got pulled into another project or whatever. I get really excited about the ability for them to like hit a milestone and be like, help. Like, I either want to hire AI to do this right now,
Yeah.
or I want to hire a human. And if they got the process from Jumpsuit, it's very likely that they'll just hire Jumpsuit, and then we get to come in and collaborate anyway on a process we're already very familiar with, without
Right.
having to do a big $200,000 scope of work or whatever, but we're still able to provide that level of flexibility and support that I think just a lot of companies don't get to experience with the independent network right now.
It's obvious you're watching the work get layered in, and it's clear of who's responsible for what and when you want to bring in AI. I love that because right now a lot of times people talk about it, but it's just sort of a mushy idea, and it's like, yeah, I guess we're gonna have to figure out how to do that when we're in the weeds of a project. This lets you sort of like maintain a high level of